Reserving the right to object. Ironically, the Syrian Kurds may be closer to having some degree of autonomy or homeland than they have been in decades. With the new arrangement or rearrangement of alliances, the Syrian Kurds now will have an alliance with someone who will remain in Syria. Whether you like them or not, the Assad government is there to stay. There was never going to be a U.S. presence for long enough or great enough to preserve or create a homeland for them. I think there is every possibility that in alliance with Assad, that there will be some Kurdish arrangement. It happened in Iraq. In Iraq, the oil proceeds are shared. The Kurdish have wanted more in Iraq. They haven't got as much as they wanted, but they have gotten some degree of autonomy within their province. I think that sort of encouraging the Syrians to abandon their country, encouraging the Syrian Kurds to abandon their country is really premature and doesn't really recognize the fluidity of what's going on the ground there. There actually is the potential for the first time in 8 years to break through to a peace agreement. Peace agreements have been unable to be achieved in the past because people have refused to acknowledge that Assad is staying. It's easy to say Assad is all of the things that he likely is, but it's harder to acknowledge that no matter who he is staying, and that peace on the ground will ultimately, for the Syrian Kurds, probably come through an arrangement with Assad's regime. There's been a huge diplomatic breakthrough. So as much as we have all the talk of Sturm und Drang and, the world is ending and there's going to be a Kurdish genocide, perhaps the opposite's going to happen. I don't think we yet know, and no one can predict the future with certainty, but it actually looks as if there has been a somewhat reasonable withdrawal. You have the Syrian Kurdish generals now saying that they have agreed with the withdrawal. There is now in place, hopefully, a long-term ceasefire. So while nothing is ever perfect in Syria, nothing is ever perfect in the Middle East, I think rather than say it's the end of the world, we should say this is a big transition. This is a big realignment of interest there. And there's a possibility that the Kurds could get a homeland. The last thing you would want is to say to all the leaders in the Kurdish community, all the intellectuals, those who speak English, those who are open to Western ways, hey, come over here and abandon your country. It would be equivalent to France saying to George Washington during or after the war, hey guys, hey founding fathers, why don't y'all come to France? It's not a good notion to ask the leaders of a country and a movement to leave and abandon their country. So with that, I respectfully object.